President Biden begins his second year in office underwater. In a poll released last week, more Americans disapprove of his job as president than approve, 56 to 43%. And only 28% of Americans polled believe President Biden should run for re-election in 2024. Well, here to talk about this is Glenn Smith, senior strategist at Progress Texas, and James Dickey, the former Texas GOP chairman. Glenn Smith, last week the president said he didn't care about polls. With the primaries only 5 weeks away, should he start caring?
Well, you know, President Biden's only created 6.4 million jobs and lowered the unemployment rate to 3.9%, got close to 70% of Americans vaccinated for COVID, passed a $2 trillion plus infrastructure bill that will probably include a coastal barrier to save Houston and the South and the Gulf Coast from terrible storms. So I'm not sure. I'm kind of happy he put his emphasis on actually getting work done rather than the hyper political atmosphere in which everybody's yelling at everybody else. The former administration did nothing but yell on Twitter. He's getting the work done. He has a job to do to communicate that to the public. There's no question about that. He does need to get that done.
James Dickey, what do you think is behind Biden's low approval ratings?
Well, I think this is one of those rare occurrences where I actually agree with President Obama. He was reported to have said that Democrats should never underestimate Joe Biden's ability to foul things up, only he wasn't that polite. I mean, the only thing the president has accomplished is somehow miraculously making Jimmy Carter look like he wasn't our worst president in memory. I mean, he abandoned Americans in Afghanistan. He's literally selling Ukraine and caving into Putin and giving that up on, so foreign policy is a total failure. He was supposed to lead to a better and kinder America, and all he's done is divide people even more. He spent the last 2 weeks accusing a majority of Americans of being racist if they didn't give in and agree to his big lie that every election going forward, and most in the past, were going to be illegitimate unless he gets to rig every election exactly the way he wants.
All righty. Glenn, what grade would you give President Biden for his first year?
Let me start off by giving James and the Republicans an F in the category of the truth, because everything he just said was false. What grade do I give President Biden?
Yeah.
I gave him a B, and I scored him down from a B because I don't think he's effectively communicated these almost unprecedented achievements. That number of jobs created is historic. It's a record, but the people don't seem to know it. Now, there's plenty to get done in the future, but I mean, the poisonous atmosphere created by Trump and the Republicans at every level, you just heard it here. Everything said was false, everything. So he's got to compete against that headwind of falsity and disinformation. Tough job, but he's got to do it.
James, same question. What's the grade for Biden? And talking about the millions of jobs that Glenn is saying that the president created, do you agree with that?
Sure. Yeah, well, bless Glenn's heart. I mean, all he can do is call the truth a lie, because otherwise jobs that he bragged about, they're not even back to the 2020 levels. COVID, that the president promised he would take care of, more deaths in 2021 than in 2020. We've got a double whammy of empty store shelves and the highest inflation in 40 years. We've got a travesty at the border. We've got fentanyl deaths. We've got increased crime.
Okay,
we've got,
so
increased trafficking.
What's your grade, real quick?
It's an F.
It's an F. Okay, I'm not too surprised by those.
That's stunningly surprising.
Okay, we got to wrap it up. Glenn,
what a surprise.
James, thank you both very much.
Yeah, thank you.